How are we doing tonight, guys? So I want to start the show off by saying that we're going to be changing some of the formats in the upcoming days, I should say. We recently talked about it a little bit off stream. So the idea is we won't build three pillar lineups. We'll basically have our pillars, but we'll put them in a more structured way, just so the shows don't end up being 2 hours long. We'll explain that a bit next show. What I want to say, we're still going to do some fun lineup builder ideas, but specifically, me and Donnie were speaking about it. We think we can get to more lineups, and we think we can get to more structure if we do it in a process way, which obviously streamlines more plays and more availability for you guys and gets us talking about players and process and plays and that kind of thing, more than just like these fun gimmicky ideas. But let's break it down, because like I do think there is value in like seeing where you got right, where you got wrong, and almost plugging that into next week. And I want to start doing that more, like taking what we learned this week, plugging it into a lineup next week or 2 weeks from now, breaking down some more nuance of like, okay, this happened. Maybe I didn't win this week. Maybe I didn't enter this in the right tournament, but I can use this for the next week going forward, and not being able to, not being so afraid to make mistakes, even like, that's part of the reason I do the podcast the way I do, where I just go off the cuff and I start right away, because I don't want it to seem too like, it's not professional. It's more like I don't want it to seem too rehearsed. And I think that's how you have to attack your DFS lineups too. You want to tell yourself a story. You want to build a structure, but you don't necessarily want to have it so structured in your head that like you're not willing to take on some, risk or some, fun elements. And I'll get into that a bit more, but I want to introduce the guys. They've been patiently waiting. Gov, Donnie, Evan, what's going on?
Hello, everyone.
I think we're all just sad that all of our NFL teams lost.
Yeah. You guys are...
I'm actually encouraged.
Here's the thing. I've had to deal with 2 heartbreaks straight. Like the Bears just suck. They were done in the first quarter. That game was over.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sick of the heartbreaks.
I would rather have the Bears future than the Patriots future.
No. The Bears don't even know. The Bears don't know if Justin Fields is playing decent enough where you might have to pay him.
The Bears are probably the Bears look like, honestly, not quite where Denver is, but basically where Denver is. Like, you put a good coach on that team, it will immediately be a contender. I don't know if it actually wins a Super Bowl without more defense, but it's a contender if you actually get a competent coaching staff.
It's very much
that coaching staff.
It's very much a coaching and leadership problem. I'm not sure at this point if Luke Getsy's the right OC for the team or if Eberflus is the right just overall coach leader, because there's nobody on there. I mean, even regardless of who the quarterback is, there's nobody on this team like an Urlacher that will pull the whole team out of the rut that they're feeling on the sideline to help win the games. There's nobody like that is playing that role right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, at least the Patriots have a leadership non-issue.
They do.
That's true, but then you don't have very much talent
Yeah.
That's why.
Whereas there's talent on Chicago, there's just no leadership for it.
Well, that's why I say you're in trouble, Donnie, if I'm being honest, is because your coach is like 80 years old and nobody has proven anywhere close to his level of expertise or ability to take over that team. Like, you look at everyone else that's been under his tree, they pretty much failed pretty exclusively. And so, like, when he's dead and gone, which is not that long from now, like, if we're being honest, like, he's not going to...
We'll hire Steve Belichick and have Tom Brady's kid come and be quarterback.
I mean, I've heard that with Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia and Josh McDaniels, and, like, it's not the same. And so...
Donnie, will Steve still make all those great faces he does on the sideline?
I haven't seen any this year, to be honest.
Okay, so let's coach our lineups because I don't know about you, Gov, but I truly enjoyed this process. Like, I think I enjoyed Monday mornings, like in terms of like watching the DFS experts or like the pundits on the internet talk about their lineups and their process more than I enjoy like a Saturday night stream or like a Friday, preparation stream, because it's like put up or shut up time. And like, that's really what I enjoy. It's like, okay, what did I do, right and wrong? Again, to apply for the next week. I'm really always trying to apply what I learned and maybe where I got lucky. And I wanted to do that with this lineup specifically for a reason, but I wanted to see first kind of what you thought of the week. Anyone can take this, but what we thought of the week, any takeaways, anything you're willing to build next week. They're like, okay, I noticed something. We definitely want to get this in our lineup next week. Anything like that?
I'm just very shocked at all the rookie receivers. Like, have any of them been distinctively bad so far?
None that I can think of.
Yeah, like all the rookie receivers that have gotten any
They've
playing
either
time.
flashed something, yeah.
Yeah.
Jackson
When's the
Smith
last time
and Jigba.
that's happened?
Jackson Smith and Jigba's looking better and better every game, even with Tyler Lockett and DK in front of him.
Exactly.
Bryce has already had a touchdown.
Flowers.
Tank looks good. Zay looks good.
Puka. Douglas has
Puka.
been a third down guy for the Patriots. I mean,
It is a fantastic point. And I think we've seen that trend for a while, Donnie. But to your point, it's magnified this year. Like we saw with Jefferson and Chase, but like those
Mingo could be better.
Tank, Mingo's the one. Mingo's the one that hasn't flashed. But Tank, Dell, there's names we're forgetting. That's Addison.
Mingo got
Addison.
targets.
Mingo's
Mingo's the one who hasn't really flashed a big thing yet.
Mingo looks like a rookie receiver.
Yeah, Mingo's the one that looks like a rookie. He's just getting good volume. Whereas like a guy like in Jigba, he's getting kind of the same volume even as the third guy in that offense. But he's flashed where he's going to do something here soon.
Yeah, but to Evan's point, Mingo is getting tremendous target volume. Like, so it's still there. Like, I do think we're seeing a trend, like a cultural trend in the NFL, where just like we're starting to see the pass catchers just become that much more important.
I just thought of two receivers who aren't flashing: Rashee Rice and Quentin Johnston.
But
even Rice, like his first catch was a touchdown in week 1.
On 31% of the snaps too, which is pretty impressive.
Right. So like that's what I'm saying. Like even Rice has like one moment so far.
And one
a lot. and that's it. But it's still early in the season. He got one. A lot of these other rookie receivers have done something. Mingo's at least getting volume. But like that, it's something to see.
And that's exactly the kind of conversations I want to have with my review shows, because I don't want to just feel like, hey guys, I won $5 this week, or hey guys, I played the right quarterback. I played Trevor Lawrence. I'm just naming random good quarterbacks we project. I played this guy, so I won. I want to use this as a platform to launch off for the next week's upcoming. And
do you want to play the thing that fantasy people should never do?
What's
the
that?
Worst thing to do.
Overreact?
When you're reviewing, like the what if and the chasing what if.
Oh yeah,
like the lineup you have on screen. That's a pretty good lineup, Logan.
Thank you.
That you built.
Mm-hmm.
But
162, solid.
Gov, I'm going to challenge.
That would have what? That would have came in second in the Thunderdome for like 50K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to challenge you though. Why do you think I'm showing this lineup? It's not
one of the 4 we built.
Mm-hmm. Not.
No, it is one of your personal lineups, but like it's a good one.
But I'm glad you brought that up because it's exactly the opposite point you were making, right? You just said like it would have won this X amount.
No, that's what I'm saying. What
Right.
do you want to do? The thing we shouldn't do?
Right.
Oh, look at what it would have won if you would have thrown it in this contest.
Exactly. That's exactly why I have this lineup up. Because I'm immensely proud, and the guys can see my face. I'm not bullshitting the audience here. I'm immensely proud of this lineup because I always say it every week. I was doing a better job of this last year, saying trust the process, play within your limits, and really enjoy the lineup you build and like take pride in it. And I don't care that this lineup wasn't in a bigger tournament. I built this lineup to diversify my portfolio to have smaller contests. I've been talking
So
about.
what if you put it in a different spot?
I wouldn't have done that, Donnie. So it doesn't
Right,
matter to me.
right.
Well, I mean, like my scenario is crazy. Like the Thunderdome is like a $2,000 entry.
Right. But people do that. You're right, Gov.
There
People
are
do
high
that.
stakes players that play that, and it's like, okay,
Right.
so in that contest, I think what won it this week was like 167 or something.
Right.
That's what's
So
wild.
162 would have came in second for like $50K or whatever
And to your
on
point,
a $2,000 entry.
to Donnie's point, to Gov's point, and I'm sure we'll get Evan in here too. This lineup, honestly, if we're being honest, should have scored more points on its floor because everyone saw the Lions defense play a lot better against Kansas City. Everyone expected that pass rush to be good. We saw a really bad.
I'd argue I didn't, but
Fair enough, but I'm saying like the majority of people thought it was a good play. Like I could show you a lot of people that thought.
oh, I agree. A lot of they were on my list. They were on my short list,
Right.
for sure.
But I'll say this: in the first quarter, we lost 3 starters on the first drive, and one of them didn't come back. And then Gardner Johnson got a bad third down penalty on a unnecessary roughness to Kenneth Walker. So it took away a 4th down stop, which would have had a field goal. Walker scores a touchdown on that drive. It kind of set the tone. Like those are the things that are luck based. But then, like you look at the lineup, and I probably got some points I shouldn't have got. If Deebo Samuel doesn't catch one long pass, so like you can do that on the opposite end too. And
If CMC steals that rush touchdown, which you probably should have.
Exactly. So like you could, like to Gus' point, we could do the what ifs on either side of this. The reason I love this lineup is because it diversifies my portfolio, which is what you guys should be doing every week. You should be putting your lineups in big contests, small contests, and playing what you're comfortable playing. Because if you're not, then you're going to be putting yourself in the wrong mindset. If I told Evan, who doesn't have a lot of familiarity with DraftKings, hey, Evan, I'm going to give you $25 every week, but you've got to play in the Millie contest. Well, that puts a lot of pressure on him because now, as a novice, DFS guy, he might say, well, I got to win the Millie for Logan to be impressed with me. A guy like me and Gov, who've been doing it a long time, know that like the Millie's kind of a fun lottery. It's a fun lottery kind of, every so often you throw a contest in there, maybe for Thanksgiving if you're feeling, like you had a good year, or you do it with a group of buddies for fun. Like that's how I view the Millie. But some people, they attack it different. So I think you should just attack things, not result oriented, but for different diversities. And that's what we do with the Rainmakers. That's what we've done with Best Ball. I just want to prove that like I have no problem winning only $8 in this lineup because it was a good lineup.
Yeah. Can you show our rookie lineup while we were talking about rookies?
I have all of our lineups
Yeah.
up.
So what I was going to do is say what, Gus?
I have all of our lineups up if you wanted to switch over to me.
Oh, great. Yeah, I can do that for sure. I was going to do the same thing.
It's actually our 3rd best lineup.
I don't believe you have them all because I think I had to put mine in one of my single entries. But
these were the 4 we built on stream.
Okay, you do have them. Great. Okay.
Yeah, I have all 4 we built on stream. I threw them in a 10-cent contest so I could save.
Got you. I was like, how did you get mine? Because I know the contest I entered. I got it now.
Yeah, I like I said, I set all of ours aside to make sure I could look at it.
Right. I like this.
Yeah. So
that way we sort of all ran against each other. So this is our rookie lineup.
I really like this lineup. And it still was. That's
Mahomes
our second.
Underperformed. It was our second best, but it was basically tied with the other Mahomes lineup.
Mm-hmm.
This is the lineup where we were like, most expensive quarterback, most expensive wide receiver, most expensive tight end.
The genius idea that I had.
Yeah. That was a middle lineup.
It wasn't a bad lineup though, and that's with Diggs and Mahomes not doing anything great.
This was basically my pillar, which was let's jam in Pollard and ETN and up-priced running backs. And then we decided to rookie the motherfucker out with Rice and Dell and Laporta and Njigba. Which, if Rice catches an extra touchdown and Mahomes now has 30 and Rice now has 15 to 20, like, now we're cooking.
Yeah, if Kansas City's offense just worked.
If that game worked, like 17 to 9, ETN wasn't getting any points doing that,
right.
but it's not like he's not on the field and couldn't have. And then
and he got hurt.
Yeah, Dallas defense, fucking great. Pollard probably could even had more if he would have got the touchdown.
Dallas defense at 4K had that's crazy. And it was still 19% owned. Are people just gonna?
They were one of the two well, no, last week there was a lot of value that people were able to play with, like guys like Tank. People were playing Reynolds.
I don't know how much you know about what the pricing is next week, but let me tell you, Tank I think is going to be a mainstay next week.
Oh, I might. Yeah, I've already built the line.
3,600.
Yeah, I know. They didn't price. They didn't price Tank up enough. I don't think.
There's
not even close.
There's a lot of good value at wide receiver. I promise you, we could build a lineup with 2 3K wide receivers, and we'd be happy with it.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, this is the one that this is the other what if one that you got to remember not to do that on. Mm-hmm. It is good process review to remember, but don't second guess yourself.
We got really lucky with Gabe Davis, so I don't even want to think what if. You know,
this was the lineup where Logan gave us the restriction of name all those guys.
Yes, that is right.
We built it, and then at the end, we could switch in one dude and switch it out.
Yeah.
And what we did was we took out McCaffrey for Mixon, which lost us 12 points, which turned C.J. Stroud into Prescott, which lost us, I think, about 8 or 9 points.
Mm-hmm.
So basically the lesson is...
This lineup would have been at 160 if we wouldn't have changed anything.
Yeah. So basically the lesson is don't change anybody once we put in our restrictions.
It is, honestly, yeah, it's like if you really see a change you want to make, build a second lineup if possible. Just build a second lineup and then let it time to sit. Maybe you'll like one better.
I like that we have the restriction that we can't, though.
Yeah, to build it with can't, but then when we opened it up, is it a mistake to have then changed it after the process? Like,
I'm fine with making a mistake like that.
Because if we would have had Stroud and
to be honest, this doesn't hurt my stomach at all. Like,
yeah,
I still stand by the change that we made. All 4 of us agreed that it was the right move.
Yep.
And
it gave us correlation with Lamb. We liked Mixon just as fine as we liked McCaffrey.
Yeah.
It just so happens McCaffrey is a beast and scored more points, and it just so happens that even though Dallas did well, Prescott only did 19, and C.J. Stroud ended up having like a 20-something point day.
If the Jets' offense wasn't completely inept and Zach Wilson actually could throw a football,
Prescott might have had to put more points up. Lamb might have had a bigger day. Ferguson might have had a bigger day.
If we're being honest, and I want to get Evan's opinion in here because he's such a smart football guy. That's why I was able to find him. Like he runs in the same smart circles I do, and I was able to find him. But he's unfamiliar with DraftKings. But that's why we picked Donnie's brain last year. It's because I love that nuance. To me, that's why we do these pillars, not only to have fun, but to put these fun little restrictions on us to get us to think. Really, for me, it's getting us to think outside of the box. Whether we're right, wrong, or indifferent. It's using that intelligence we have, but applying it in a different way. A lot of people, to your point, would say oh, it's rainy today. I'm just going to yell, I want it to be 80 degrees, and then people expect it to be 80 degrees. That's not how it works. Evan, what are some of the lessons that you're learning just being on the podcast, just absorbing some of the information you're seeing? Are you seeing a trend? Are you I want you to kind of walk us through the process of just what do you see?
Well, playing DFS in general is an entirely different approach because you have a budget limitation of how to set these lineups, which, I mean, I don't want to waste time talking about it because everybody watching this probably already knows this information. But at the same time, it just helps you think outside the box to get that value pick for lesser money that will hit off with similar fantasy points compared to the guaranteed top guy that's going to be the most expensive that is expected to hit it off. It's tempting to take Patrick Mahomes for every lineup, for example, but Patrick Mahomes is not necessarily matchup proof, and this year's a little different for him because there's a wide receiver by committee, and he doesn't have Tyreek Hill anymore. Travis Kelce is 100%. So, and Matt Nagy's calling the plays on offense, which is also bad. So it just if you're not paying attention, you miss out on value plays.
Just to hit off that though, dang it, I think I lost it. I think I lost.
Don't worry, don't worry. You didn't strike out, Donnie. It'll come back to you. Gov, I really miss it though. I missed being new to DFS. Like sometimes I feel like I'm too rooted in my ideas. It's almost like I'm so used to a routine. On Saturdays we get together with the same group of guys. We know each other's favorite teams. We know each other's cadence. We know each other's like garbage plays. And so like I almost vicariously want to live through Evan. I want to live even through Donnie as he's not the rookie anymore, but we get to see that development. Now he's like the second year pro that feels comfortable. He's confident. He's moving in the pocket. He's doing so like I want to be proud of it. And so like I get really excited to see these guys, but it's like we have some skills too, I guess. But it's almost like I miss just the nuance and the fun element of DFS, and that's kind of why I wanted to bring up that first lineup to show you guys. Like I know this lineup could have done better because I'm smart enough to know I check fantasy labs. I look at some of the pros and their lineups, and I know what the lineup would have done. But I still love DFS just from a fun element. And I think that it gets lost. Really, it does in these cover reviews. What do you think, Ghost? Anything on that?
No, I can agree with you on that. Like you can, I've had that point this year where it just sort of became sort of clouded, just always grinding and playing. Because sometimes the process is repetitive on a lot of those day-to-day sports like basketball and baseball. I'm reviewing every night after the slate, getting things ready in the morning, looking at the next day. It's like football helps give you a little perspective on that because you have a whole week.
If I could chime in on that point, though, to me, maybe it's just my lack of experience talking, but it seems like this would be almost exciting in a way on a week-to-week basis because there's going to be trending new players rising to the top, which I'm sure we'll get to later, such as a Jerome Ford, a Kyron Williams, guys that nobody expected from week one, and now it's like, okay, how cheap can I get them?
Yeah. Well, we're talking. Yeah, I think I've more so meant basketball is such a daily thing where you have to know every single player that's playing every day and who's going to be that random.
You kind of get that. Yeah, you sort of like what you're saying. As the week moves on, you get the info. You see this running back is practicing. He's going to be the guy to
Ford
start.
is getting number one stat.
Yeah. But you get that every night in NBA with a random dude coming off the bench, starting playing 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and so for a random team. It's well, you probably should play him. He's going to smash his salary. Because this is a salary game, like you said. That is the nuance. Is it's a salary game. It's not just how high of a fantasy score can you get. It's how high of a fantasy score can you get for your money.
Right. And it's not just the money of the monopoly of I got to fit a salary this structure, this idea of oh, I got 50K. It's actually the money you invest. If Evan only has $25 to put into DFS, he's no better or worse than me if I got $5,000. It's not like I'm saying oh, I'm better, but my risk tolerance is different than Evan's. And so you have to respect that as a player and you have to know it. And I think there's accountability. It's almost like a workout partner. It's like that accountability partner. And if you're a musclehead and you're trying to like bulk up and, compete in competitions, you're going to do a lot of things different at the gym than like a soccer mom that's just trying to stay in shape, and look good for the summer months, when she's at the beach. Like they're at the same place, but they're attacking things differently. And I think a lot of that gets lost in daily fantasy, Donnie, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, I saw a commercial and there's the Millie. And it's like the Millie is a cool
I
thing.
couldn't stomach doing it daily. I don't think I could stomach even basketball. Like, just
Same.
I don't know how you guys do it year-round sports.
I-
Football is the sport for me to do it. Like, occasional NBA would be fine, but oh man.
I was about to say I watch NBA like that helps. It at least is one of the sports I watch. So like I would be up watching the games anyway.
Mhm.
So just adding DFS to it just is almost like second nature at this point. It really just like after like one good football season, I just sort of started playing NBA, and I've just sort of been doing it ever since.
Yeah. See, my thing with that would be like, I'd be so worried about watching that player that, I'm looking to smash that night. Football, I can turn that off. I don't think I could for basketball because there's so much going on anyway. At least I can center my focus on one thing. But
Donnie, I'm going to ask you something that seems rhetorical, but I want you to answer as honest as possible. Do you value our friendship?
yeah,
Okay, but people probably don't realize that me and you met on a silly video game that I don't no longer play. It was Madden. I ran a Madden league for years. I no longer play it, but I played it because I wanted a community. I wanted like this idea of like bring people together. To me, that's what DraftKings does. Like for some people, daily fantasy is like a gambling addict, paradise. They have this negative view to it. To me, it's a communal thing. Like it allows me to meet Gov. It allowed me, the sports interest allowed me to meet you in a video game. And like now we have some real friendships and we have some real, and to me, it's like almost like if you were to get together for like a pool league or like a darts, evening on a Friday. It's like that reset. You go to work Monday through Friday. So that Saturday night with the boys, you don't know what kind of beer. Like no one's saying, "Hey, you drink Budweiser, I drink Coors Light. I'm better than you." It's like getting together. That camaraderie for me is why I enjoy every sport. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just me.
See, I can enjoy like watching basketball almost every night just in the background, but I cannot like put my focus on DFS as well.
I don't think I would. In fact, I know it. I'd be lying to you right now if I said I would enjoy just watching basketball. I would not. There was a point where I could just watch basketball and enjoy it. I don't even think I would enjoy football without the idea that I could win money and I could meet good people and have good conversations. Like, you have no idea how excited I am to do this podcast. Like, there are some nights where we fire up this podcast where I'm like, I'd just rather take a nap. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to even play it. And then we get into, and I'm like, we just had a real conversation and I spent some time with some real, people and I enjoyed myself. So like that stuff happens and I'll switch over here. That's fine. But like, that's the stuff I love.
And not to sound like too negative about playing everything that you want to play, but I can't imagine the average American would even have the time to be able to consume every single thing like a DraftKings would have to offer, because basketball is a daily game and so is baseball, and then you're trying to focus on DFS as well. For football, I feel like you'd have to make that your full-time job like a professional poker player does.
Some people do, and like, but that's also a good point, Evan. The people who make it a professional job have like a podcast. They have, a circle of people they communicate with, and they build content around it. They'll do like spread pick shows, and then they'll do like pop culture shows, and like, it's not just sports gambling. And if it is, it's like it is their full-time job. They attack it differently. But when they're wrong, they still have to eat it, And so again, it goes back to that risk tolerance thing.
Yeah.
You have any other bows you want to put on this before we move on?
Oh no! Like I'll admit, I took a bunch of hits this week. Like most of my stacks did not work, but I was heavy on Allen and Mahomes, and
I was heavy on Mahomes. I was heavy on the Jags game in general.
yeah, it was not a good week.
I
This
almost
week
had a
two
rush
was
stack and I backed out of it.
like I don't even want to. I don't even want to think about our spread picks and how bad they were this week.
Oh,
Did anyone make any ground?
People did make their ground. If we want to transition over to spread picks really quick.
Yeah, let's do that, and then we can talk our rainmakers for the week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because rainmakers is what I'm really excited about because we haven't done much, but this is a pretty big week for us in that category.
It is, and I want to talk about that structure here in a minute, but
Yeah,
go ahead and update the people, Donnie.
Yeah. All right. So, our group pick. Bad start, guys. Once again, we had a bad start last year with the group picks, but we turned it around to a positive record. We had Chargers minus 3.5. Chargers obviously suck and are 0-2 right now. So we were dead wrong about that. Logan had the Raiders at +9. That is a loss. Broncos at minus 3.5. That is also a loss. You make him 1-3 on the season. Gov had the Rams at +7.5 in Chicago at +2.5. That puts him at 3-1 for the season. I had my Patriots at -2.5, about a couple inches away from that being a thing. And the Chiefs at -3.5, putting me at 1-3 for the season. And Evan had the Colts at +1.5 and the Giants at -4, making him 2-2 for the season. So
I'll take it.
that puts Govern first, Evan in second, and me and Logan tied for third. But last year, keep in mind, the two last place people came up and knocked me out of first place at the end of the year. Very tail end of the year. So
Yes. And I have not got a push yet, so.
And there has been no push. We've all picked the halves, except Logan has that one, the two that weren't half point ones. Stay away from half point or full, non-half point games, Gov. Keep doing that.
No, I'll take those +2s and +3s when they come along.
And I think there's something to be said for the structure of what even the spread picks of what we're doing is like you have to know who you're competing against. This is a 4-man tournament, kind of thing. So like you would build a lineup differently if you were playing DFS with the four of us. So like when we pick against each other, like there is that strategy as well. So like you kind of know your selections when it comes to that. So I enjoy the group selection because I do think it adds an element to it. It almost takes away.
It takes away our favorite game.
Right. Right. And that obviously influences the strategy of the whole thing. And so that's the fun for me. It's like when you start to throw in different ways to build things. Talking about building things, why don't we give people the update on the Rainmakers team?
All right. So here we go. This is our sheet so far. Last night, off stream, after we cashed in our Monday Nighter, extra $5, added that to our budget.
Do you want to show the score of that team just so people can see what happened? Or
1 sec. I have it pulled up real quick.
Why are you doing that?
Pull it up. 1 sec.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I just want to update the people because not a lot of people are doing content like this. We basically trying to build a budget team. We're doing everything on stream so you guys can see it. We're tracking it, obviously, as you can see visually. And the idea is that we won't make any moves in 3-week increments. So like we won't reinvest any of our actual money until 3 weeks have passed. So even if we had lost, we wouldn't be able to invest any money. The only reason we're able to invest money is because we won. So that's the whole idea of it. It's like now at the end of week 3, we can invest our money again if we choose. We could buy a Kamara, for example, if we were to lose. But I want to do this specifically with almost a different kind of structure. And so like what you're seeing now in the green is our profit. So we're using our profit to build, another team, another version of this.
I'll bring it up in just a sec, but let's finish talking here, and then I can bring all that up at once.
Yep, go ahead.
So, like, we did win $5. I'll show us that lineup came in. We'll be able to see it in a second, but it came in 371st out of 3,000 with 61.5 points.
And then just to update the people, I believe we sold the TJ Hawkinson. That's how we got.
Yeah, all of that is over here. All of our purchases are one sale, which gave us a bit of a profit. And like I said last night, after our win, our extra $5, the money we had, we went and bought a Trevor Lawrence and an Evan Ingram. We were able to get them cheap. And we have spent our $35. Very solid.
35.02.
Don't worry about the 2 cents.
But I love that me, you, and Evan were able to jump
Buying
in.
and selling, there's like a 10% thing where don't worry about 2 cents.
Right. Well, I do love that, like, me, you, and Evan were able to jump in right away, have that conversation, but we were not able to get Donnie's live reaction. Donnie, why were you so excited about Trevor Lawrence? Because we weren't able to get that live reaction.
Yeah.
So can you give it to the people now?
I mean, at the start of the year, since we did our first best ball team, I believe, what was that? A month before the season?
Yeah, it was.
I openly said I think Trevor Lawrence can break out into an MVP-like player this year. I have seen 2 weeks now. Last week was a little bit of a flutter, but I think he showed enough. Like, he was accurate. You know, there was just balls that didn't get caught. You know, it was a wet game. His price dropped, in my opinion, for no reason. Start of the year, we had quarterbacks going for minimum, if they were a starter, $10. And we got Trevor Lawrence at, what, 8?
We almost got him at $750.
I mean, I still think he can be that MVP-like guy. And then you can tag on a teammate for essentially nothing with that. It's not the right teammate, but we know Evan Ingram's going to get about 5 catches a game. It seems like at this point. He just monster target after monster.
What do you mean by right teammate, though? Are you saying, like, he's not the target?
He's not the number one guy who Trevor Lawrence is going to chuck up to on a third down. This is just a safety valve.
Fair enough, but I think the price reflects that. Like, I actually think Evan Ingram is the best value on the Jacksonville team if you would look at the prices.
I mean, he might be.
Yeah.
And, like, I know Calvin Ridley is, but Calvin Ridley's also getting, what, 11 targets almost a game, it feels like? Like, he gets a lot of targets.
But not to steal your point. Your point was still valid. I just want to point out, like...
Yeah. Obviously, you want the deep ball threat over the safety valve, but prices reflect that, so...
Let's get Evan in here. What were you saying, Evan?
Can I also say that I love Jacksonville's matchups for Trevor Lawrence after this Kansas City game where he's got Houston, Atlanta, Buffalo, and Indy will be a little bumpy, but then after the bye week, and then after San Francisco, it's going to be a lot of smooth defenses making it easier for him. To add on to Donnie's point about him possibly being an MVP-like caliber season, he's in a real position to do so.
And if we're being honest, one of the reasons I put these kind of restrictions on this and wanted to build this budget team was, first of all, the Rainmaker content on YouTube is limited anyways. And then the people who are providing that content are doing it at a higher level than us. They're doing it at hey, I have $1,000 to spend. Let me just show you a really good team. I wanted to show you the process of how you put together a team. Gov, why don't you speak about what we talked about a little bit last night? We said save it for the show. We had a discussion whether we take that $10 and ramp up and try to, like, build this super team, or are we better off trying to play in multiple contests with building basically 2 lineups essentially, or 2 quarterbacks and having 2 different teams and then seeing how much profit we can get.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly think that just getting multiple lineups in is the best way to go. Yeah. Gives us more options, gives us the ability to play more. And, like, we are going to be able to play 2 lineups this week.
Before I lose my train of thought as well, they're like, I know Evan might not know exactly, and I don't know the whole nuance of it. I think it's like, is it the top 5 quarterbacks get the superstar? Whatever.
Yeah, from last season, basically the top 5 quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers, barring that the quarterback and wide receiver aren't paired together.
Based on how Trevor Lawrence played, and the fact that Justin Herbert's 0-2, does Tua continue to play this well? Maybe. But there's a good chance Trevor Lawrence gets that superstar mark. And who knows?
It could happen because he doesn't have any other players. It wouldn't happen to Tua because Tyreek's already a superstar. That's the reason Tua isn't right now. But
so
I think everyone thought that Justin Fields.
Joe Burrow's playing bad.
Everyone coming in was thinking Justin Fields should have been the 5th guy at superstar instead of Justin Herbert.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that either going to him or going to Trevor Lawrence at the week 9 point when they switch him up might end up being something to watch for.
Especially with Burrow playing bad, you have Herbert playing bad, you have Fields playing bad. Like, a lot of these guys aren't up to par. But you got to remember, like, all the guys other than Herbert, like, Burrow isn't a superstar because Chase is. But if Chase, like, the thing is, Burrow hasn't gone anywhere without Chase. Chase has failed, but so has Burrow.
But, like, the guys who are superstar right now at quarterback, I don't see Josh Allen or Mahomes not being that.
Right.
I don't see
Aaron Rodgers can't work his way up there.
I don't see Lamar dropping out of his superstar status. Who else was the other guy? It was those 3 plus.
Well, Gov, I'll give you some time to think about it, but that's what I love about this is like they can't make changes like week to week. Like they make these superstar changes, on these set dates, and that's what I wanted to do with this structure and this build was like say, hey, we can reinvest money, but we have to do it in a structured, setting. Because like I do think had we not had that limitation, we would have overspent by now. We would have saw a value and we would have been like, well, we lost in week 1. Let's go out and buy Trevor now. Where like this forces us to like build and have to get profit. And I do think that adds a kind of fun element to a process. Evan, I saw you over there nodding. You want to add anything?
Not right now, no.
Great.
Do we think there's any shockers that drop from superstar status? Just based off the first 2 weeks.
Off the first 2 weeks, like Henry could, Chubb probably will.
Chubb has to
because of the year. Eckler might too, though.
Yeah,
I think Eckler will.
Yeah, especially if he's going to miss a couple games, which it looks like he could.
Well, right now, Austin Eckler has no timeline as of yesterday, so we don't even know.
Yeah, we have no idea where Eckler is. We know Nick Chubb's done for the year. Like, Jamar Chase hasn't been up to par. Not his fault completely, but that's something to look at. There's a lot of these superstars that might be changing at this mark. And if we got one of them, if Pickens has a stellar, next 6 weeks, which is very possible.
Mm-hmm.
He had 10 targets last week, if you guys didn't know. But with Johnson's out still, I believe. He's out for a couple weeks, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
We have a real shot here to have a team, 2 teams with 2 superstars coming up.
Oh, Jalen Hurts. That's the 4th one. Okay, I'm dumb.
Yeah, you're right.
So there's 4.
Hurts, then Herbert. There's 5. So it's Allen, Mahomes, Lamar, Hurts, Herbert.
So that 5th one's up for grabs. The top 4.
Herbert probably, because I don't think the top 4 lose their status.
I think Herbert keeps it. I'll be the. I just think I think that they like the young element of him.
But Trevor Lawrence has the young element in the beautiful luscious hair.
I would say this. I do think they would keep Herbert with the status.
Yeah.
If they dropped Eckler off. Because that's been one of the big things. That's the one team that has 2 superstars.
But what if they drop Eckler off and Herbert off and give it to Keenan?
That's going too far.
At that point, now Herbert's probably had a decent enough season where you don't drop it off of him.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't see anybody on the Chargers.
And they do have the rule, like they have that rule where like you can only have the one usually between quarterback and pass catcher. That's why like Chase is a superstar. That's the only reason Burrow isn't.
Yeah.
Same thing with like it's a little more clear like with Cousins and Jefferson, but it's not as clear with Burrow and Chase whether or not Burrow shouldn't.
Are there any bad teams with this? Like definitively bad teams that seem like that have had a superstar? No.
I mean, like,
I think
other than like Chubb's been a superstar in Cleveland, and they were bad. I mean,
yeah.
CeeDee Lamb is a superstar.
Well, they made the playoffs. That's not bad.
I believe Barkley was when no one knew what the Giants
was.
I don't know. So the
Henry.
team doesn't matter to them at all. It's just fantasy points.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who are your top fantasy scores? You don't want to be able to jam all of them into the same lineup.
Right.
So that's the only restriction in Rainmakers is if you have the card, the only real restriction is can't play multiple superstars.
And that's why they leave the right to reserve it to then change it if they need to. But like, even if Christian McCaffrey was still on the Panthers, you would see him as a superstar because the upside in the
yeah, he was a superstar on the Panthers. He was still a superstar when he got traded to San Francisco.
Right. But they leave that optionality for like Mike Evans, who's just like, we knew he was good. He's having a historically great start. So like they leave that option to make those changes as well. And so I do think it's balanced pretty well.
All right. So first decision we have to make. We get to make two lineups, a Sunday 12-game normal lineup and a showdown lineup for Sunday night. So what contest do we enter for Sunday main slate?
What are our options?
So we have the big game cash contest that pays out a bunch of people, but we'll also have a bunch of lineups.
Yep.
You got the bankroll booster that's kind of like it's a weird contest.
Everyone
you can only win. You can only win $5, but it's probably going to pay out a little over the field. Like the guaranteed one's going to pay out like 26 to 28% of the field.
Mm-hmm.
The bankroll booster is probably going to pay out 35 to 40. But you're only going to win $5, whereas you could win more in the big tournament. There's also the single entry, which has less to first place, but again, people can only put one lineup in here.
Those are always my preferred.
All right. Then you have the prize pack contest, and then there's other crap to win other things that we're not going to do. Because neither of us, unless you guys want to win a spot to an upcoming break, but I don't break.
I think at some point we might.
Yeah, no.
Especially at the end of the year where we're like really just trying to have fun.
Yeah, well, we might try for something crazy there. But like, I would say unless we want to try for our own extra card for the collection and put in the pack contest, I would go with either the single entry or like I would do either the single entry or the pack contest.
I would do
the single entry because if we win it, we could pick our player and like I think we're pretty smart in that regard.
Yeah, I would rather the single entry.
All right, single entry it is. Okay. So, we're going to put in our T-Law. We're going to put in our Ingram just to start it off. Boom.
We're going to put in our Henry.
Going to put in our Henry. Okay. So, we have 4 cards in our collection. Cortland Sutton, Michael Thomas, Kadarius Toney, and Mingo.
Okay.
Do we want to use any of those 4, or do you want to swap them out with one of my guys?
I want to keep it true to it being our card. I don't want to trade unless we have to trade.
Right.
Personally.
We don't have to. You have options.
Right. And we have plenty of options at this point where I think it's kind of a disservice.
Denver at Miami, New Orleans at Green Bay. Personally, I think we have to play Michael Thomas.
I don't
agree.
see why not.
I think of those 4, I think we have to play Michael Thomas.
See, now, here's the conversation we have to have ourselves. Because I think it's between two guys. I think it's between Tony, and I think it's between Sutton. Do we want the high-scoring game, probably, between Miami-Denver, or do we want to say the Chiefs are playing a bad Bears team, and they
I was
want
going
to
to say,
get their
Tony
passing
can rip
going?
apart this horrible Bears
Right.
defense, right?
Do
I'm
we
not
want
even-
to?
I'm not
Do
even
we want
confident
to
he
say that
can.
story? But do we want to use the story and say, Kadarius Toney is going to be not used to this
Seattle's
turnover
secondary has been absolutely god-awful this year, though. So
Yeah, I would rather play
Maybe
Mingo.
Mingo in a breakout spot at Seattle?
I will say Mingo has what? Evan could check me on this. I believe he has 7 targets in week 1 and 9 in no.
Yeah,
excuse
he's
me.
getting volume.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
I think
we go
all of our
targets then.
plays are viable. I would go either Mingo or Sutton.
The
personally.
biggest risk is Tony, but that's saying that the Chiefs are going to just pour it on trying to get their passing game going.
with
Well,
They might use McKinnon. They'll have Kelsey. It could
Right.
be Sky Moore. It is a real crapshoot in Kansas City.
with Kadarius Toney not even getting 30% of the snaps in the first 2 games, I'm not convinced that that's
How
a smart
healthy
play.
is the question?
Well, that's
Exactly.
another good point. Is his hamstring okay? Right?
Right.
And this has been a wide receiver by committee where I'm not really high on touching any of the Chiefs wide receivers right now.
To Evan's point, the reason I like Tony was because this is like a stock market game, and he's going to play in a lot of showdown kind of like primetime games. And we got him really cheap when he was still injured the first time, when it was unfamiliar if he was
I'm
going to
sure
play.
his
in
price
week
went
1.
down.
Yeah, and Tony has gotten 5 targets in his first 2 games and has gotten almost nowhere with the ones that he's caught.
Right. But what I'm hoping for is he has that big splash game and we sell him. Like, I'll be totally transparent. I never bought him with the intention of keeping him for a long time.
And even against my Bears with an injured Kyler Gordon not playing, I'm not convinced that Tony's the guy in this offense. I think it's going to be like a Sky Moore.
It looks so far like it's going to be a Sky Moore.
I do think that Travis Kelsey does help the field stretchers out in that Kansas City offense.
Nobody's stopping Kelsey, and I hate to admit it.
And it worries me because Sutton wasn't getting targeted at all. They used so many wide receivers in Denver.
Right.
Little
And
Jordan
Judy's
Humphrey,
coming
Brandon
back?
Johnson, too.
That's why I
Judy
said-
was back, and they didn't use they used Judy. Sutton didn't get hardly any work till the 3rd or 4th quarter, and then he still didn't get a lot. So
that's why-
I
that's why-
honestly think Mingo, as
Yeah.
much as he's not a great, he's the kind of guy who might also be sneaky for us to play in DFS because he'll still be cheap in a really good matchup up in Seattle.
I am playing him this week.
Let's put it in.
It's worth noting that Jonathan Mingo has seen 87% of the snaps in week 1, 98% in week 2. He is a guy they're going to target.
And 98%, so his snap count went up, and that's with DJ Shark coming back in week 2.
And to
Exactly.
to that point, to Evan's point, he caught a nice 15-yard crosser, I believe, in that game late. And then the very next play was Adam Thielen's touchdown, which you could argue Mingo, I think, went on at the 5. If he had gotten just a different, footing position, he would have probably scored on that play where he caught the 15-yard crosser. So, the targets are there. I think he is the safest play.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good, solid lineup.
I like this.
And to your
No,
point,
let's
Gus,
build the other one.
my money's
Oh, yeah, I'm
going
getting it
on
ready.
this.
Don't worry.
I am playing Mingo this week. I will 100% have Mingo in the lineup.
I'll probably have. I'm not going to spoil mine, but
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have multiple rookies in lineups. I just think they're underpriced, as we talked about at the beginning of the show. Talk about the beginning of the show. We're getting towards the end of the show, I believe, unless these guys really want to.
I
extend
think
something.
We
This
got our
is-
one last lineup to build.
That's
We can
right.
build our Sunday nighter. So again, do we go for a pack or do we go for the money?
to be honest, in this one, I strangely want to go for a pack.
Yeah, I think the pack would be good for content. Like,
We can open it on Tuesday. Yep.
right? If we weren't doing content, I would probably say go for the money.
Okay. So with this one, you are going to use some of my stuff just out of necessity. So we have to build a showdown style lineup. We get a captain and 3 players. We have to use at least one from each team. This is Pittsburgh versus Las Vegas.
Well, we know we're going to be using Pickens.
Yep. Do we want to use either of them at captain?
The only one I'd use at captain is Pickens, and I think it's worth it after 10 targets last week. It's going to be the same type of game for him.
I honestly agree with you on that.
And the same rule applies. If we're going to trade with Gov for these showdowns, he can trade with us. You did last week, and Henry paid off for you.
And Chubb did not for us.
Only because of injury. If Chubb's
Only
still in
because
there,
of
he
injury.
probably has the 30-point game forward.
Right, but to Donnie's
And
point,
he got hurt about to run in a touchdown on the 5-yard line.
and that is the variance. And let's be honest, the Henry paid off in that scenario. So we do trade with you, though.
That's fine. But here we go. So I have a Steelers defense. I have a Freiermuth. I have the Vegas kicker. I have Hunter Renfrow. I have Zamir White. How would you like to fill out this lineup?
Zamir White.
We got to pick 2 guys. And at least one of them has to be.
And then Freiermuth.
You're saying White Freiermuth?
Yeah, and Donnie can disagree, and I just want to make my point, and then we can have that discussion. If we're going to go White, we're playing the offense, and I think White is a good play. And then Freiermuth.
White's a good play because if Jacobs isn't playing, which I don't think he will.
Yeah, I don't think he will either. And that's why he's a good play. So that's what I'm saying is we're playing offense, and to that point, Johnson.
Did I miss an injury? Did he?
Yes,
get hurt?
He got hurt too.
He got hurt.
He had -2 rush yards last game.
I was wondering why
he
his
had
score was so
-2.
low. Okay, so
He might.
I'm
play,
fine
but
with
he got
Zamir
hurt.
White just because of at that point he's volume and you're going to get something for him.
Yeah,
Right.
Now, you guys are saying Freiermuth.
that's what I'm saying.
From what I've seen all year, even with us having Pickens and Pickett at captain, thinking about how I would play showdown,
I'm not sold on Freiermuth, to be honest.
I would play the
always big on
defense. Just play the Steelers defense.
I'm okay with what we choose, and obviously it's a group decision. The reason I like Freiermuth here is because everyone saw the Steelers defense score, and I don't think they're a guaranteed scoring defense. And with Johnson being out on the IR, I do think Freiermuth becomes the second option behind.
I do think they are a high sack rate, good pressure defense.
They are.
Yeah,
So
TJ Watt's going to get a sack.
Against Vegas, I think they will they might not. I'm not saying they're going to put up 26 and score 2 touchdowns. I agree with you on that, Logan.
Right.
But in a showdown scenario, if they get 15, that might be better than the kicker, than Freiermuth, than Renfrow.
You're right about that.
And they could do that against Vegas.
Well, I'm not playing Renfrow.
Pickett and Pickens could do what they did last night and still just do 11 for Pickett, but Pickens gets a long one, so he's got 18 to 20. So at that point, it's yes, I want Pickens at captain. Yes, I want Pickett with him. Let's say White's just on volume alone because it's a slog of a game, gets to 10 and is better than the kicker or whatever.
It's also worth noting that Freiermuth is in no danger of losing too much volume and snaps to Darnell Washington, their rookie tight end, in addition to Allen Robinson and Calvin Austin didn't do much at all with Deontay out. So I'm fine with Freiermuth, but I don't think he's a must play.
No. I agree. I think it's either Freiermuth is good, the Steelers defense is good. I would also be fine with the Vegas kicker. If you think points are going to be scored, maybe Vegas kicks more.
Do we think the Raiders are going to be able to move the ball well enough to get Carlson in range, which is
I
large
really
enough
like
as
the
it is?
Steelers defense.
I do too.
I really like this. Fitzpatrick's there. You got TJ Watt. Maybe they don't get. Well, they probably don't get the touchdowns, but they're going to get.
But even if they don't get the touchdowns, they could get 12 to 13, which could be more than almost any other skill player in this game.
I just wanted to make the argument. To be honest with you, I don't really care. I think they both have the same kind of ceiling. I just think Freiermuth has a higher upside because with Johnson being out, we know Freiermuth would be the underneath target guy. And everyone saw the Steelers defense do so well against the Browns. And now we know there's no salary in this mode, but you do want to get different to try to climb the leaderboard. I do think going with Freiermuth would give you higher upside.
Well,
higher.
here's my thing. We don't know Jacoby Meyer's status. We don't know Josh Jacobs' status.
Correct.
And Devontae Adams was sent into concussion protocol during last game. So there's a Jacobs injury, there's a Adams injury, and there's a Myers injury.
Oh yeah, 100%. The defense is safer. I'm just saying to be different, but again, we're playing in a card contest, so we probably don't need to shoot for upside in this.
It's also worth noting that Devontae Adams, as of yesterday, passed the concussion test and he's expected to play.
Right. I love Adams this week. But I think we're good here. I think this is a good lineup. I think we had a good show. I would like to take the last couple minutes though, just to give people one kind of like primer for our show leading into the week. Is there anything, just quickly, I'll go down the line here. Is there anything you guys want to take away from our review show, from the review? We haven't really talked about players too much. We talked a lot about process tonight. Was there one player take from each of you that you want to take into next week? Like this guy I'm paying attention to for the lineup for week 3.
I do have something I want to say.
Go ahead.
Don't buy into this Browns running back number 1 forward thing. I think it's going to be by committee, and that's if Hunt doesn't sign, which he already
I 100% disagree. I'm playing Ford in 100% of my lineups.
Hunt might sign Thursday.
I don't give a damn. Look, and you might be right, Donnie, but I'll make this point really quickly, and I'm glad you did it because that was my point, and that's why I'm coming in so hot. It's an Adam Levitan approach where, yeah, we know he's going to be high owned, but he's 4,800. So find me a 4,800 guy that has his ceiling.
I think you're better off paying cheap receivers.
I will. I'll play both. My point, Donnie, is I get contrarian enough that I don't eat chalk enough. So when there's an obvious chalk play that could go for 20 points, I'm going to play him. And I think differently than most people. So I don't have any problem getting different.
Can I argue something though? Just real quick.
Yeah, sure. This is great.
Pierre Strong stole a touchdown at the goal line. Maybe Pierre Strong's the goal line back.
No, and I will play Pierre Strong. Any lineup I do not play Ford in, I will have Strong. 100%. You can hold me
Strong is the goal line back if Hunt doesn't sign. I just want to make that clear. That's what I saw anyway. That's what I think.
I'm not saying I will play Ford in 100%, but I have no fear to do that.
And I believe Pierre Strong, we actually had a long conversation about him during the preseason game because we were debating Patriots preseason.
Right. I do love Strong.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead and finish your point, Logan. Sorry, I wanted to chip in when you get a chance.
Well, I'm glad that Donnie brought that game up because that was also the game I was able to introduce Donnie to Tank Dell out of Houston. I'm a big fan of that guy. That's the type of thing I'm talking about, though. You can get different and still build around Ford. I just think Ford at 4,800 has too much upside.
There's so many running backs so cheap, though.
I don't. There's no one that has his upside.
I think I have to agree with Logan here regarding Jerome Ford, where let's say Kareem Hunt tomorrow does sign with the Cleveland Browns or later this week or whenever.
Right.
If you look at Kareem Hunt's production with a healthy or even with an unhealthy Nick Chubb out there, as of last year, he has looked terrible as far as just being used in production, and he was seeing his snap count go down. So if they sign Kareem Hunt for cheap, I don't think he's going to take much from Jerome Ford. I could see Ford taking 60% of the snaps, with Hunt taking something like 35, and then Strong will come in there for maybe to vulture a random goal line touchdown like Donnie just brought up. But I don't think this is going to be a committee. I think Ford's going to get 60% of the snaps.
I kind of agree with that. My dad, a Browns fan, would agree with that. He's like, that's just what they're going to do. Even if they sign Hunt may take over that backfield at some point, but it will not be the first game or two.
I mean, my thing is Hunt takes over the third down role, so you're losing catches probably.
No, I'm not 100% right away. I don't think because of what Ford's skill set is. He's actually a better pass catcher than people think.
I don't know much about him, so maybe he is a good pass catcher, and I just don't know.
Jerome Ford also caught 3 of 4 for a touchdown catching.
Now, to your point though, Donnie, he should be 80% owned. He is 4,800, right? You have a good point. that
I can't fall into the trap of playing a running back against Tennessee this week again. I'm sorry.
But that's my point.
Jamal failed and shouldn't have failed week 1. Kelly failed and shouldn't have failed week 2.
It's the same situation every time, too.
Yeah.
The starter's out, and
then this guy's going to get all the work against Tennessee. Third time's the charm?
Hey, I'm saying you better match me because I'm doing it. It might be wrong.
If I'm playing a Browns back, I'm playing strong because I think goal line touchdowns, to be honest.
And that's the thing is, Donnie,
I will Cleveland. I'll just play Amari Cooper.
I will play 40 to 80%, and then I will play a strong lineup just to have it. But I will play strong at 80%. I guarantee it. Now, I don't know what these guys will do with our pillar lineup. I can't control that. But I will play personally forward in almost every one of my lineups.
If you have to play a Cleveland Brown offensive piece, is there an argument, or at least a strong enough foundation to play an Elijah Moore?
I would play David Njoku. He looked really good.
I might stack Watson in that game. Who knows?
Well, speaking of Browns, I know fantasy's been okay, but can we all celebrate that Deshaun Watson has not looked good at all? Like, of all guys to root against, I think he might be at the top of my list. Let's go, Deshaun Watson. Make your money, baby.
Well, you talked about his off the field, and I know that's a big deal for you, Donnie, so I have no problem with you having that opinion. I mean, you're totally entitled to it. I think you're right in a lot of ways personally. Let's talk about what he did on the field of that game since we brought it up. The guy doesn't make even good decisions on the field.
That's my point.
He had but seriously, he had two offensive face mask penalties.
How do you have two face masks? How do you have one face mask as an offensive player?
Well, the first one I get because like the hand moved up towards the face and like his hands were already there. To get the second, and he was laughing about the second one. So it's like that like the mindset just isn't there. Like if you got to grab someone's face mask to get away from them on offense, you know you're going to get called for it. You already were called for it. Like you're not going to get away with it.
I've never seen one player get two offensive face masks in 1 year.
To really keep this moving, though, let's go on to the other guys. Go. You got anything from week 2 that you want to make sure that we discuss before we close up shop for week 3 lineup building? Any initial thoughts? Any like takeaways?
Like, even with it being a bad week, a lot of my lineups were close. Like, here is something that I noticed, and you can maybe attest to this because you know Logan. We met in like the Smiz Discord.
Correct.
And Smiz had his show or his little like stint on Fantasy Football Now on ESPN right before the games.
Congratulations to him, by the way.
Yeah, that was good. They had to move him around a bit, but like, yeah. Well, when he did that, basically what he got to do was show his tournament lineup that he gave to ESPN.
Right.
The tournament lineup he showed on ESPN
I did not
was a 2v2 off of my single entry.
Oh, wow, nice.
It was also, after going back and looking,
Mm-hmm.
I believe a 2v2 off of what he ran in the Thunderdome.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, I had a shit week. He won the Thunderdome.
Right.
We both ran a Josh Allen stack with Josh Jacobs in it. He just happened to also have Rashad White and Christian Kirk and Puka. And I had Njigba and Walker and Connor.
I want you to speak honestly about this when I say this, but like, are you jealous of the fact that he had the better 2v2, or are you encouraged? Because I think it's kind of like having Evan on this DFS show. It's like he might not know the nuances of everything, or like he might not understand every bit of our process to our level yet. But to me, this is me speaking. When I want to be smarter, when I want to do smart things and have good process, I want to be in rooms with other people that know what they're doing, with other people that have similar ideas to me. Because like I don't want to be.
Sometimes
see, and then like, go on. Then I'll get my thought.
Yeah, no. Sometimes you just gotta fake it till you make it when it comes to the DFS. Honestly, that's what I had to do for a good first half of the season that I started at,
Right.
and it worked out. I feel confident now.
Yeah, but my thought, honestly, is like, my initial thought was like, when I first saw it, I'm like, motherfucker. Now
Right.
people are going to dupe my fucking lineup. That was my initial thought. He just showed my single entry on goddamn national television. That bastard.
Well, to be fair though, that's what
Like,
I mean.
and I'm at work, so like I'm having fun. But like, oh my god.
Well, good.
But like
That's what I'm saying.
after review, it's like, okay. So my process was good.
Mhm.
Top players were playing this kind of lineup. They were playing this way. I just like if you wanted to be like real specific and analyze our two lineups exactly.
Mhm.
My 2v2 led me to a specific game, the Detroit-Seattle game. And I wanted to find the right pieces. And I played Kenneth Walker and Njigba. Sorry.
You got very lucky on the Walker play, by the way.
I did, or else it could have even been worse.
Right.
A guy like Al, after getting in what he thought was probably get different enough with his stack,
Yep.
even though it was still a Josh Allen stack.
Mhm.
Good Lord, I'm sorry.
See,
I thought it was that.
But like
that was
even
gonna have
getting
all the
different
play.
enough, he decided to play chalk with that. So he just jammed in chalk running back Rashad White. He just jammed in chalk Puka.
Mhm. Well, it's
And then
almost
that
like-
was basically the lineup.
Yeah, it's almost like the Ford conversation we just had. Like you're okay eating chalk as long as you get different elsewhere. And I'm going to bring Evan in here for his last point here in a second. But I just want to transition the merge the 2 points together. I never want to be the smartest person in a room. So like whenever I'm around people that are making decisions that I admire, I feel like I'm in the right room because I'm around other smart people. And that's what I think this podcast is. I think that's what Al does. I think that's the whole communal element of just like sports in general. Go ahead, Evan, with your point though. Anything from week 2 that you want to transition to week 3?
Yes, I do. And this is a big one that I think is being slept on a lot. Assuming Kendre Miller is ready to practice a full go like head coach of the Saints, Dennis Allen, says he is, get ready to stick Kendre Miller in your lineups because whether you're in a regular redraft league or even if you're playing DFS, which he's at 4,300 right now, get ready because this Saints rushing attack is fucking terrible. Hoping you don't mind me using the F-bomb here.
No, you're good. You do what you want.
I mean, it is true. So
It's worth noting that Tony Jones ended up taking over half of the running back snaps last week against the Carolina defense, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Gov, they're not good at stopping the run.
We're not great at stopping the run. We're okay.
they're not good at stopping the run.
Okay, no, no. Like we're not the worst team at stopping the run.
So you're not good at stopping the run.
Okay, we're not bad at stopping the run. Okay, so far we've run into a team that didn't have much and they couldn't really run on us, but he could throw it all. He could throw it pretty well. And then we ran into what might be a team that's going to run the ball religiously as much as anyone else. So I don't count that one.
So yeah, and I think regardless of the defense that the Saints go up against, they don't have a stronger option at running back right now. And before Kamara comes back in week 4, I think Kendre Miller is going to be the guy before that happens. And the rushing attack of the Saints was so bad. Taysom Hill outrushed Jamal Williams and Tony Jones if you don't count the touchdowns. That's how bad they were. Tony Jones just happened to fall in the end zone 2 times. So I think Kendre Miller is going to be the stronger play this coming week against the Packers.
That's
I
a
agree
good
with
rush
that.
defense, though.
To your Miller point,
And not really. Sorry, go ahead,
is-
Logan.
if any of you want to jump in, it's all right. But I was just going to say, to your point, though, Evan, like we talked about at the beginning of the show, so it makes sense to end it. We talked about rookies and how good they've been. And, like, don't fall into the trap of, oh, well, this was just a flash in the pan. All of the young players are coming in better and more prepared. We can even go back years to Chase and Jefferson. These players are coming in more prepared than ever before. And yes, that's due to IMG Academy. That's due to high schools being more prepared. That's due to colleges getting more publicity. But it's happening in the NFL now. We're seeing like Tank Dell, for example, got 10 targets. You know, Mingo hasn't even had a big week yet. We talked about that. He has like 8 or 9 targets. Like, don't be afraid to play some of these inefficiencies that I feel like DraftKings has. Like,
I just had a Jimmy Neutron brain blast, by the way.
What's that, Donnie? Get it off.
Kareem Hunt, what if they can't agree to contract with Kareem Hunt doesn't agree to contract with anyone lately? Cam Akers is available, very available.
But I'm glad you brought that up. It merges the point as we close up shop here. I'm saying don't be afraid of the rookies because they're performing well. I think that's keeping guys like Leonard Fournette. It's keeping guys like Hunt off the field. Like, are they talented? Yes. But I think people, they see that surge, that blast, as you call it, of youth and explosion, and those guys are getting chances.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. Is it because the running back position is the whole, they don't want to keep them for long term, or
maybe
do they actually feel that these running backs give them the best chances to win? I really don't know.
Let's leave the people on that cliffhanger. We'll bring it up next show. You guys are going to be very excited. I have a whole idea of how we're going to do this differently. I think we're going to build better lineups.
Keep it down to an hour and a half, maybe next week.
No, it's gonna be good. I think we're gonna build better lineups. We're gonna build, I think, more lineups. We're gonna do it in a different.
Yeah, we're gonna do a 4-hour stream, build 100 lineups, midnight to 4 a.m. Let's do this all night. Yeah.
24-hour stream, baby.
Every time you don't know the salary of a dude, you take a shot.
Hey, I don't
A shot of orange juice for you.
I don't doubt we're gonna get wild at some point this year. I do have some fun ideas though. We're gonna save those for next show. Thanks for joining me, guys. It was a good review show. I really enjoyed this one. Hopefully you guys did as well. Like and subscribe on your way out. It does mean a lot, especially for a young up and coming podcast like ours. I try not to promote it in like that annoying way, but it really does make a difference. So I'll flash it once. Please like and subscribe if you do enjoy it. You know, we're at the point where we'll answer your fantasy questions. And so take advantage of that and give us a like and subscribe on the way out. Thank you guys. Have a good night. Thanks to the guys joining me. Good night. We'll see you soon.
Night, everyone.
Good night.
Peace out.